Now, let's see if it will start recording now. It looks like it will now.
Yeah, it's recording.
All right. Okay, so we can.
I'll just initiate then. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for those who could join in. I'll start with the introduction. My name is Tuba Kesar, and I'm the founder and director of our small, sweet little organization called Team Neurodiversity. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm an autism mom, a very proud autism mom. एंड मेरा एक बेटा है हु इज ऑन स्पेक्ट्रम एंड जिसकी वजह से ये एक इनिशिएटिव स्टार्ट हुआ कि आई वांटेड टू सी दिस कंट्री more inclusive, more empathetic, more accepting towards neurodiverse children. डाइवर्सिटी के बारे में अगर थोड़ी बात करें तो न्यूरोडाइवर्सिटी का मतलब ये है कि हम हर कोई जो है वो थोड़ा अलग होता है एक दूसरे से, मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि okay, sure. I'll try to be bilingual. Sorry, sir, but I can't be completely English and I can't be completely Urdu. But I'll try to manage because we have mixed audience. But thank you so much for that feedback. Yeah. So our target is to make this country more inclusive, more empathetic towards children who are special. And there's a reason why they're called special, because they have some extra love from our God, and we need to share that and we need to learn from them. And then hence they have a different ability attached to them through which this world can be and this community can become a better place. This is what I believe in. This is what my team believes in. And Alhamdulillah, I was very lucky enough to have the best uh, professionals all around the world in my team, and then they helped me to fulfill my dream becoming into a reality, and it's all because of that team. I have a total of team neurodiversity. We are 8 girls, all from all around the world. Today, with me, I have my head of family therapy and behavioral management training. She is Amara Batul. She has generously agreed to give time, even with the difference in the time. She is from working from UK, and she is a very good professional over there. And she has taken out time to present about how are we as a family can cater to our special needs. So I will just now give this platform to Amara, and she will take over and talk about the presentation today. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for Tuba for such a lovely introduction. My name is Amara Batul, and I am a head of family and couple therapy and behavior management trainings at Team Neurodiversity. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about about a family perspective of children with special needs and how we can find, as a family, how we can find a purpose having a special child in our family and how we can work together with using different strategies to make a very positive and cheerful environment. So yeah, this is what it's going to be. I have tried to make it pretty colorful because I thought that will, because it's quite serious topic. So I think it will be, a bit more positive and a bit more cheerful for all of us, and it will be easy for us to enjoy the presentation and this time. If you have any question, please feel free to let me know. If you think like there's, I've said something which I shouldn't have said, or if I have made some mistake, or if there's anything you would like to correct or criticize, you're more than welcome to do that, because I think there's nothing more valuable than a positive criticism. So yeah, and let's just dig into the topic. Okay, so today the areas I'm going to talk about or touch base is about the finding a purpose, or finding a positive purpose, being a special child family, what it can affect you as a parent, and what effects can be on a parents of living in a special child family, having a special child. How important is the sibling relationship, how you can manage a positive sibling relationship, and how you can make it more productive and useful. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about empathy, because I think in this whole, whatever we will talk about, the main core or the main essence of the topic is actually talking about empathy, enhancing empathy. And of course, then touching a bit of information about boundaries, how as a family you can set few boundaries and how you can make your daily routine easy and productive. And then we will talk about few tips, few games, few activities which you can do with your children, or which you can tell other children or other families. If you see someone, if you see any family with the special needs, you can tell them like, okay, these are the things you can do inside, or some indoor activities or some outdoor activities. So I will try to make it quite easy. I have tried to make it quite easy and of course understandable, but still, if you have any question and at any point, please raise your hand or give your, type your message in a message section, and me or Tuba, we will get back to you. Okay. It's a very famous and a very beautiful saying that raising a child with the special needs does not take a special family. It makes a family special. And that is true. And I think most of the people who have been in that situation and who have this experience would agree with me, because I think that is the very beautiful reality, about having a special child in your family or having a individual with special needs. I think it's just like, it's not like you need to be very, very special to have that child, but how you can manage and how strengthen it basically does to your family, and how, I don't know, how miraculous I would say this experience is. It's beautiful. So yeah, it does make every family special. Okay. Now coming to the first topic we are going to talk about today, it's a bit more like what, when we see families who have special children, you often come across families or parents, or especially in our culture, coming from Pakistan. I know now things are getting better, but I would say like 10 years ago, or or back in times, or even quite recently, I have seen families who have children with the special needs, and they somehow think like, okay, it's some kind of a punishment to them. It's something like, why they had it. And I've seen parents and families and siblings and the adults, having that such disappointment linked with having a child with the special needs, and that embarrassment, like, oh, they cannot stand in a in a gathering, or they somehow feel reluctant to accept, and they really struggle. And that's why I think in our culture, or in Pakistan, we don't have, the special children don't have enough access, to schools. They don't, that's why I think people don't talk about it. That's why, because this is linked with the stigma, and I think if we really need to improve that in Pakistan, if we really need to work for the children with special needs in Pakistan, the first thing we need to work on is, I think, the families like us, because the acceptance comes within us, sort of thing. So if we as a family, if we as a society, if we as a responsible ones are, I think, strong enough to accept the children's special needs and embrace it and work towards it, work toward betterment, I think that things will get better eventually. So I think the most important thing is a family identity, like how a family with a special need can find identity around that need. Like if your child is autistic, or if your child is attention deficit, or has any sort of neurological disabilities, how you can identify in your family, that is the important thing. And I think the key for that is, of course, first of all, to accept it. Do not link it with any sort of punishment. Do not link it with any sort of exam from God, because I've seen people saying like, oh, it's a test from God, and that it is because, oh, Allah, I've seen people saying कि भाई जो लोग ज़्यादा प्यारे होते हैं, अल्लाह उनको आजमाता है, and all that sort of things. I know they are positive, but somehow it's just like conditioning having a child with special needs with having something as a, a test from God, sort of thing. I know it needs a lot of patience. I know it needs a lot of courage, but at the end of the day, that's the child you have got, it's your child, and you have to embrace it. And we as a professionals, I think our duty is actually to make parents and to make families realize that, okay, this is your child, and it's not a test, and it's not some sort of punishment, and it's not some sort of, something that you have to prove yourself to. It's just a normal human being, and he might be, or she might be with different he has different needs, or she has different needs, but still there are ways, and there are ways to fulfill those needs, staying positive. So I think the first step is finding a positive purpose, or finding a positive identity towards that. And I think Tuba, because as she gave her introduction, she would tell you how I think she is one of those mom who is a huge inspiration for so many people. Having a child with special needs gives you a lot of strength, and it's a very magical experience. If you think in that direction, it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but again, I think accepting it and finding your identity in it as a family is very important. The other point is, of course, family connection, how we can, coming from our culture, I know if you have a child with the special needs, parents avoid to go to take the child to social gatherings, to the parks, or to family relatives. But how, if you will be confident enough as a parent to, I think, embrace that special need of your child, I think then it will be very, very easy for rest of the family to, accept it, because then they know, like, okay, if you are confident with it, if you being a parent, if you're happy with it, that's how, it will start. That's how the change will start. Uh, Coming to the how it can strengthen our family. And okay, I think my back. Okay. And of course, then we will talk about the family coping strategies. Like every family has a different coping strategies, and how we can work together. And we will talk about few things. We will talk about some sibling relationships and stuff, and how we can strengthen that, and how we can work on a coping strategies. We'll talk about the coping strategies as well later in the presentation. Okay, Tuba, would you like to say anything about your experience being a mother of a special child? How do you think it will affect?
Yeah. Um, I think no words can explain the gratitude that I have of being a mother of a special child. I think it's of course my whenever I say that it's a blessing, and I'm the chosen one, and God loves me more. That's why He trusts me more. That's why He has given me something special, so that I will be able to take care. And I firmly believe that, as you said, that the special child gives you the strength. Definitely 100%. There's no denying that, because my strength always stems from him. And it's because when I see him, when I see how brilliantly and how generously he loves the life he has, with all the limitations. I hate the word limitations, but limitations as the world perceives. He is very happy. He is the king of this world. And this is what God wants from us, being happy with what we are, with what we have. And this is what I've learned from him. And when I see him uh, being so positive, sometimes I feel so bad that I am the older one, I am the mature one, I have the speech, I have the power to communicate, but still I am not that positive than my son. So I think definitely, it's a beautiful experience. It's magic every day. Whenever you wake up and you see him doing certain things with so many hurdles, and we cry all the time. You know what? The day went bad because this happened and that happened. But when we realize it, if we one day, if we are asked, if the child is non-verbal and we are asked to just keep quiet the whole day, then we'll understand how hard it can become. Or if you're not able to understand social cues, it's not easy, especially in this harsh world. That's why when I felt that, I wanted the world to see from his eyes, from what I have now started seeing the world from his perspective. I want the world to see from that perspective too. Yes, definitely. As being parent of a special child, I am very grateful. I'll be more grateful every single day. And some people say that, you know what, there's a good chance that your future children will be special too. And I'll be very happy even then, because now I know I am capable enough to handle and cherish the life with them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tuba. Indeed. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful words and giving us this hope and positivity. Okay, now because we have just spoken to a parent, just now I will just talk a little bit about being a parent of a special child, how it can affect your life. And of course, as Tuba mentioned before, it's not easy, it's hard, it's not like some fairy tale. It's a very rocky road and you need to maybe put an extra effort, but there are few things which you can do to, I think, make it a little easier on yourself. First of the most important thing is self-care, because I think being a parent, when we are in a certain situation, we think like, okay, we feel quite under pressure, and we think like, okay, we have to give maybe more than normal parents. And somehow, considering women in our culture having a lot of other responsibilities, living with in-laws, joint families, and doing everything on their own, and then taking care of their children, uh, they somehow forget about the self-care part. So I think the first key is actually always remember and always prioritizing your own self-care. Labeling and describing emotions. It's absolutely fine that you're exhausted with your child. It's absolutely fine that you're tired. It's absolutely fine that you're sad. The thing is, being a parent, we have this I don't know, unconscious or subconscious learned concept, like being a parent, we can't complain about like being tired, or we can't say that, oh, if you'll say something, that will be like, oh, we are being nashukri, or we are being unthankful or ungrateful, or we are being not a really good parent. So we have this a lot of this self-judging as a parent. We do that, and I have seen parents doing it every day, I would say. So it's absolutely fine if you feel tired. It's absolutely fine if a parent feel not happy with the situation he's in. Labeling your emotions, knowing your emotion is the key, and embracing those emotions is the key. There are, the one, I think one very magical thing to do, or one very positive thing to do, is always find a calming space. That calming space can be maybe having a hot shower. I would say that calming space can be you having a cup of tea, in your own room for 10 minutes as a parent, just to calm yourself down, just to give yourself enough time to reflect on yourself, to look after yourself. Because I know, of course, again, being a parent comes with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of like, I have to do this. Everyone wants best for their children, but how you can keep yourself going is very important as well. Healthy coping strategies, there are so many information available on the internet. There are so many different platforms, but I would highlight few things, how you can, like how the coping strategies can help. Like, if you think you're tired, maybe talking to your friend. If you are in therapy, that's good enough. If you think you need some relaxing time, there are mindfulness. There are so many information about mindfulness on internet, in different books. There are different journals, there are different videos. You can look at those. There are some calming music. Of course, coming from our culture, I would say there people are usually very religious. So for some people, if they are stressed, I think do nafal par lena, surah yasin par lena. It can be anything, despite whatever that makes you relax, whatever that makes you happy. Maybe eating a bowl of I don't know, a cereal, or kuch bhi meetha khana, kuch bhi, anything that actually lower down your stress level, that actually calms you, I would say. Do that. And how to cope with the child, we'll come to that later on, like how you can like keep a record, like if your child had a meltdown, how you can cope with it. So if you are calm yourself, that I think that will enable you a bit more to actually embrace the situation, or cope with the situation with a bit more positivity, with I think with a bit more, I don't know, effectively you can cope with it. So yeah. And then of course, coming back to the last point, acceptance. I think being a parent, I have seen working with so many parents, talking to them every other day. It's like once a week, I would say, they do come back to you, and they will again talk about the same thing, like why this has happened to my child. So I think acceptance is the key. Whatever situation you are in, if you know the day you will accept it, that things will become so easy. If you'll keep complaining, if you'll keep comparing yourself with others, and if you'll keep saying like, okay, why my child, why he has to go through this, and all that will bring a bit more stress to this. It won't make the situation easy. If you really want the things to work for you, the first step is actually to accept it and then work towards it, and then things will be quite more effective and easier. Okay, there are a few things we're going to talk about, as I said, like how the which was the main topic, like how we can create a positive environment in a family. Considering, again, coming back to our culture, because we don't live in a nuclear families, we have joint families. So we'll have chacha, taya, mama, khala, everyone living around us. So first, work make sure that your own, the primary, like your nuclear of the family, like your children, and of course your children as a siblings have a positive bond, with your, if the children are living under the same roof with grandparents. So how first work on that unit, and once that unit is, I would say, effective and have all the positivity and have that thing like, okay, we can do it, then think, move forward slowly to the other social, I would say the other social circle. Okay, honesty and equality, I think is the main key. Now, here I will highlight one more thing. I have seen so many families when you have one child with the special needs and the other children are normal. Somehow, if you speak to the siblings, there have been so many research and studies going on, and you will be surprised if you look into the data, if you will look and if you will hear the other side of the story. I would say, if you speak to sibling who has a special child, and if you talk to them, and he will tell you like how the parents haven't given them the time, and how the whole attention and all affection is only for this for the sibling or for the child who is who has a special need. So I think creating that balance is also very important. Again, making sure that you I think handle everyone equally, and be very, very, very honest with your children. Some of the time you will see some siblings, and you will talk to them, and they won't even know like what is the other sibling is going through, or the grandfather would have no idea. All he knows like कि हाँ इनका बच्चा पागल है और इनके बच्चे को समझ नहीं आता, that those typical phrases कि इसको तो कुछ पता ही नहीं है, हाँ ये ऐसा ही है, झल्ला ही है. These are very, very common phrases I have heard from people coming from good educated families when they contact you. And this is if you talk to the family, so this is what they say, because sometimes people don't know what's going on. Sometimes being a parent, because parents don't accept the thing, they don't actually tell, if they see other people, they don't actually tell what's the issue. If your child is ADHD, बहुत attention deficit है, तो what people will say, they'll go into the gatherings, ये बहुत शरारती है, या ये बहुत shy है, या ये बात नहीं करता, direct nahi hote. So be very, very honest. That is the main key. Okay, reduce caregiver responsibilities of sibling. That is also very important, because I have seen, and it's very common, again, as I said, we live in a joint family system. Parents, mothers have so many responsibilities. Father work 9 to 5 or 9 to 8 in our culture mostly. So then the elder siblings or the younger siblings have so many responsibilities, and that actually brings a lot of disturbance, like within the family. The other thing is, of course, listen to all the family members, what they have to say. Look for the stressors. What are the things which are actually stressing your children? Work on the positive interaction. I will talk about the different activities, what you can do to create a positive interaction, and how you can bring I think bring your family together. Again, being non-judgmental. If you see one of your child does not like the other child, so you don't have to be judgmental. Again, don't be judgmental towards your own self, which we do quite a lot, like, oh, I am being bad, I'm this, I'm that, like judging your own self. But again, if you think like one of the sibling is not very affectionate towards a child who has a special need, so you don't need, I know I have seen this, parents become very like I don't know, defensive. But I think doing in like that won't help, because understanding what the other's child is feeling is very, very important. That's why positive communication, being honest to them, is very, very important. And of course, setting a very realistic boundaries. Again, we are adult, as Suba mentioned as well. I think we are adults, so we somehow understand. But again, if you have two other children, one is in teenage, one is 12 years old, one is like maybe 9 years old, and you just have got the newborn with the special needs. So maybe the child who's in her teenage is already going through her own phases and stuff. She might not be that enthusiastic. She might not be that happy with that change, and she might not like your attention, and you as a parent are expecting like, okay, because she is old enough, she should understand, and she should help me, she should take care of the younger one. So I think that's where all this stress build on. So being a parent, I think these are the things you really need to look into in detail, and how we can work to it, and how you can work on it basically. And maybe sit together, talk about it, tell the children what's going on and how you're going to make situation better. And again, if you need any external help, don't hesitate. Always ask for help, because that is the way it should be. All right. Again, now just giving a
Amara, can I just say something over here?
uh-huh.
We actually, I just wanted to say to the audience as well that the link that was provided to us has a limit to it. It has only, and I think it's only 5 minutes left. I would like if you start talking about some strategies that was mentioned.
All right.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Tuba. All right. Okay, that was quick. uh, there are different games which you can do to create a positive and effective family bond. One of them is, of course, there are different building blocks you can get that will help the children to, of course, that will enhance the teamwork, that will help problem solving strategies within siblings, because it was more like how you can create a positive bond between your children and create a positive family. So I don't know, I'm just jumping into it. There's a lot I had to miss. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know, some of it might not make sense, but yeah, let's just go through the games now. Messy games are very, very positive. You can, it can be painting, it can be games related to clay, it can be water fights and all that sort of stuff. That is something you can try with your children. Ball games, these are the games which are like quite, of course, some of them don't even need the adult supervision, some of them do, but most of them are quite safe to play with your children, outdoor and indoor games, which is, ball games, you can use the softball, you can use the football, but ball games are usually scientifically proven to work on bonding quite a lot if you're playing it with the special children. So there are a few papers done on that. You can read that. It's very fascinating. Rope games are very good. Of course, they're indoor, you can play it with children, and these games are the ones which mostly special needs children can play as well, and they can get involved in it as well, because it does not need a lot of thinking and thought processing and stuff. Freeze game, lava games are very common. They are really good. It will help बच्चों का जो कहते हैं body posture control, their attention. All these games have a very I would say like a learning thing as well. Like children will learn something from them. It's not like they're just like the game. There will be something, some areas will be enhanced by doing those games. Balloon pops help with anger management. You will see so many autistic children, especially when they are having a meltdown. Once they're calm, how they can release that energy that will help with their muscle movement, teaching numbers, colors, etc. Like you can teach your children numbers and colors and the texture using balloon pop games. Treasure hunt, that is also very effective game, which it's indoor, outdoor. You can play it in a living room, like you can hide maybe a cookie or something, behind a photo frame or under the pillow or under the cushion. So these games are actually gives a child, of course, if you play it in teams or of course individually, it's absolutely up to you, but that will give your child how they can observe. It will work on their observations and the time management and stuff. Tracing shapes, again, that is a very good way you can teach your children how they can trace the different shapes around, and and of course that will enhance their observations and findings. Basic cooking skills, that is very fun actually, and you have no idea how much fun it is even as an adult when you do like I'm not asking like, of course, involve your children with a lot of stuff, like with the basic things, but basic cooking skills, really food brings people together sort of thing. So that actually is very, very effective indoor activity which you can do to create a very positive environment at your home. Book reading is one of them. It's very basic. Any book, picture books, whichever books you would like to read, or maybe ask them to read it for you. It's a very good way or very effective way to communicate. Playing online games with siblings, that also very helps, especially if if the weather is not good, or if it's I don't know, it's evening, or if you're not around sort of thing, so they can play some online games. Basic science experiments, that is so much fun. That will actually enhance your children's ability to think about different things. Even you will find so many basic, very, very basic, simple things, science experiment details on online. It's everywhere, YouTube, Google, they are full of these information which you can do, and actually curiosity बच्चों में जो होती है ना enhance होती है. Pretend games are very, I would say, interactive, that will, it's so much fun playing those games with children. Board games you can play with children, depending, of course, knowing the age of your child. It's just like these things bring siblings together. These games, these things brings families together. So we just have to manage the time. And that's what I was about to talk before sharing these things. That those were the slides. If any of you would like to have this material, please let me know. I'm more than happy to email it to you. But how you can set